Alright guys, welcome. It's time for game 4 here between Polt and Lucky. What an amazing series so far, and of course this next map is going to be Terminus. I just looked at the win rate, of course, on this map, and it is 60% in favor of Terran, meaning, of course, that Terrans win 60% of the time historically, and if you were a betting man, you would probably bet 60% of the time on the Terran player. So Polt here has definitely a lot of things going for him. He just won the last game, and it's now 2-1 in his favor, and he's got the map on his side. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense why Terrans, I think, have a lot of rain on this map. Now, while the center is somewhat vast, it is somewhat choked off at the same time, so you guys can see there's a lot of choke points, a lot of maneuverability here for the Terran to kind of choke things off and start to shell away at the Zerg army. Likewise, the Terran can also expand to 3 bases very, very rapidly, and that means a lot of marine production that will be cranked out. So that's something that Lucky here is going to have to keep his eyes peeled out for. On top of that, I don't think this is a good map for burrowed baneling bombs, and the reason why I say that is, while there is a lot of choke points and things like that, because of the vastness of the map and the unpredictability of the Terran force when he rolls out, it can be hard to get those baneling bombs laid down. Think about it. If you put a baneling bomb here, what if the Terran army were to go this way? Or if you put the baneling bombs here, what if the Terran army were to go this way? So it is it is a little bit hard. You have to play that guessing game, and Lucky's little forte of going for burrowed banelings might not pay off. And we haven't really seen it pay off yet, ever since his match against Boxer in IPL 3. So we'll have to see, will he be able to pull it off in this match, because certainly he's going to need every single trump card that he's got, every single little gimmick, if you will, up his sleeve if he's going to try to win against Polt, because Polt so far in this series has shown that he is a dominant player. He is winning this series currently, and he has enough confidence to go ahead and expand one more time. So he's going to throw that command center right down on the low ground, almost like an affront to Lucky, saying, "What? You didn't stop me last game. I held off your baneling bus all in. What you going to do this time?" And we'll have to see if Lucky decides to respond to that in kind or not. Of course, last game he decided to go for an eco baneling bus, and wow, that was so close too, guys. I don't know how close you guys might not realize it was, but it was down to the wire, and Lucky just barely, I mean, if he just had more banelings, I suppose, or more zerglings. What am I saying? He had so many banelings and zerglings. Maybe if Polt's micro wasn't so good, he would have been able to win that game. I mean, I guarantee 99% of Terrans would not have been able to hold that off. And for Polt to have done that just shows really how much practice he has, how good, how dominant of a StarCraft 2 commander he truly is. And that was just a spectacular showing of calm, like I said, discipline under the face of adversity. Now, it is game 4, so we'll have to see what Lucky does to respond. This is not game 3. Will he choose to go for an all-in again, or will he choose to do something different? He knows that on this map, because it is Terminus, he can expand rapidly. He can grab the third really quickly. He just has to break down the rocks first. So the fast expanding Terran isn't that much of a surprise, because if you think about it, usually on a map as vast as Terminus or Crevasse, or even Tal'Darim Altered, you would expect the player to expand right away. So nothing too crazy so far, and Polt is going to go ahead and run up in here with his SCV, checking for a potential cheese or scout. Of course, the timing on that SCV is so early that it's not going to see anything like a Roach all-in or a Baneling all-in yet. That's really why they call it the Eco Baneling Bust too, because it is an eco bust. You eco up, then you bust, and it's very, very hard to detect, especially if you hide that Baneling nest away from comsats. And we do have the little merry-go-round right here from that SCV. The SCV, of course, not having to worry quite yet because speed isn't finished. But in about 30 seconds, is that right? 30 seconds? Yeah, 30 seconds, it is going to finish, and that SCV will have something to worry about. So we'll see how long Lucky decides, or Polt decides to leave that SCV out for. No, gonna go ahead and let it die. So Lucky does pick up the first kill, I believe, of this game. No, that is actually the second kill. And you guys might be wondering right now, why is that 56 and why is that 50? Well, the reason for that is because I would believe that's because the Zerg player canceled a building, and that is considered resources lost. And I'm not too sure what he canceled, maybe an extractor or something like that. So that is the reason for that. And we do have Lucky running back across the map with a couple more Zerglings. He has control over the Zonaga Tower in the middle right now. Also control over the right Zonaga Tower, and that's nice too. This map does feature 4 of them in a grid in the center, so the more vision you have, the better. Obviously, you can scout things out. And we do have a Roach Warren coming up. Oh, the Roach Warren just finished, and 8 Roaches on the way, so Lucky is going to go for an all-in, but it's a different all-in. It's not the same one. He is going for, rather than the Baneling all-in, he's going for the much faster, much sooner Roach Zergling all-in, and hoping that the Terran player Polt did not build Marauders. Unfortunately for him, Polt did get some Marauders. So Polt, I don't know how he anticipated this. I don't know how Polt knew this was coming. And I'm not too sure really if he knew this, if he still knows this is coming. Maybe he's just making Marauders because he feels like it. But thankfully, he did make Marauders, and he's making a lot of them now because he does see the Roaches coming in with his early warning system, the Hellions. And I really feel like Polt is going to be able to hold this off really well. Not too sure how Lucky is going to plan to do damage against this many Marauders, all upgraded with maybe Stimpack won't be finished in time, but do they have conch shells? No, they won't. So maybe Lucky has a window of opportunity here before Stimpack finishes for his Roaches to try to excrete some sort of damage. But there is a bunker that he's going to have to break down first. And remember, guys, this is an all-in from Lucky, so Lucky has to do damage here. And he is on the bunker right now. The SCV's running away here, not choosing to repair, rather fleeing from the scene of the battle. The cowards they are. And Lucky now engaging the Hellions and the Marauders. The Marauders are going to hide up on the high ground as well. So it looks like Lucky will be able to take control of the natural. But of course, Polt can lift off the orbital command. And that is exactly what he's going to do. And that amount of Marauders and Hellions, I have no idea how Lucky is going to be able to break that down. Polt completely countering the all-in by building this many Marauders. And I just don't know how he did it. I don't know how Polt knew or even had the inkling that this was coming, that the Roaches were on the way. Because, you know what? For Terran to build Marauders like that is completely unconventional in TVZ. That's not what Terrans usually do. They usually get Marines and Medevacs and tanks. But to build Marauders is a complete cold counter to the Roaches. And Polt somehow knew that was coming. I have no idea in the blue hell how. Remember, guys, he made Marauders. The first Marauder was on the way before he even scouted the Roaches on the way. So that is just absolutely impressive to my eyes, and I have no idea how he did that, but it is how he's a pro gamer and how he is in Code S, and now he's walking across the map with these battle-hardened Marauders. They have complete moral support on their side. They are extremely confident right now. They just crushed the Roach army, and thankfully for Lucky, he has a couple of Crawlers here, and Crawlers will be able to counter the Marauders for now, but it looks like the Comsat goes down, picks off the Creep Tumor. Meanwhile, a potential counterattack. No, Lucky doesn't have that many Zerglings, so I don't know how much damage that's going to be able to do. Meanwhile, Lucky trying to hold off at the natural. Will he be able to hold it? There's a Crawler in the background, but it is not attacking. It would do Lucky wise to fall back into the cover of that Spine Crawler, but you know, it looks like he may have enough Roaches to just straight up out-damage the Marauders. And that is a little surprising, but now the Marauders just finished Concussive Shells. So that dramatically changes this next battle, because the Marauders can now begin to kite the Roaches, who are limited to 4 range. And the Marauders have, I believe, 6 range. Yeah, it is 6 range with their Punisher grenades. So all of a sudden that changes the dynamic of this game entirely, and unfortunately for Lucky, not a good start. He still hasn't grabbed the third, he still hasn't gotten a lair. How can he hope to combat Marauder Hellion if he doesn't have Mutalisks in the skies? That is the next counter, if you will, to the countering of the Roaches against the countering of the Roaches by the Marauders. So it would definitely do Lucky well to go ahead and get up to lair, but he is actually going to throw down a macro hatch. Interesting. And try to rush +1 weapons. So at this point, he did get the expansion over here on the left-hand side, so I was going to say, well, maybe he's trying to do some kind of a huge Zergling all-in just to follow up, but no, there is a layer coming up. There is his gas mining, so I don't know. I guess he's just going to try to macro out of this and get into a super macro game, but it is looking quite desperate for him right now. He is behind in supply to the Terran, which is never a good thing. He was down by about 11 right there, but he just caught up a little bit. Lucky's chance now in this game, what he's got to do really is to deflect these Hellions, control the center, establish macro, establish dominance, and get the drones mining. He's got to get up to 75 drones in order to have enough of an economy to keep up with the Terran player. Remember, the Terran is 1 step ahead of him right now because he expanded so much sooner, and now Polt is about to grab the third as well. So Lucky has to figure out how to do this, and he's falling back with his Roaches right now. Those Roaches are going to encounter the Marauders, and those Marauders from Polt, just with those concussive shells, able to do so much damage. Not too sure if Lucky's going to be able to escape from this one, boys. And not today, dirtbag. Those Roaches going down. That's what those Marauders are saying. Not today, dirtbag. And they're going to go ahead and run up into the natural. I don't know how Polt is, or how Lucky's going to be able to hold this off. He is running with a lot of Zerglings, though. Can he get the surround? He needs to get it. He's got to surround those Marauders, but Polt doing such a spectacular job of microing It's not going to be enough, though, because Lucky had so many Zerglings. So he does get this around. He does clean up the the Marauder army, but just barely. That was by the skin of his teeth, and I don't think it could have gotten any closer if you had wanted it to be. So Lucky just barely holds on. He kills off that Marauder army, and now the Terran army has to recompose itself. It has to remuster and rebuild. And Polt is going to go ahead and rebuild with tanks. So he is going to change out of that Marauder play into the tank marine play that is so prevalent and popular. Tons of factories and barracks here at the main, all rallied queued over to the natural to begin the production of the next dominant Terran strike force. Lucky, maneuvering his way across the map, is going to try to take control of the Xanaga Tower. Those Marines are in a great position, though, and eventually Lucky able to destroy that. But damn, I really do think that Lucky at this point has got to figure out what his next strategy is. Is he going to go into Zergling Infestor, or is he going to go into Zergling Muta? We see on the production tab a Spire on the way, so I would imagine at this point probably going to be Mutalisks, and that's not a bad idea at all. Mutalisks are surprisingly effective against tanks, but they do need Baneling support to deal with the Marines, and I don't think that Lucky has built a Baneling nest at all this game. So he's really showing different playstyles. And that different playstyle is the Infestor Mutalisk style, I suppose, along with some Roaches and Zerglings. We'll have to see how effective that is going to be. Meanwhile, over in Polt's main, a lot of barracks and factories still ramping up that production, and Polt is sitting quite comfortably, I might add, on those 3 bases. And you've got to imagine the level of security he feels after holding off that all-in. He knows it's up to the Zerg now to play the catch-up game, and the onus really is on the Zerg to get back into the game. And we can see that Lucky right now trying to make an attack over into the middle of Terminus, but that is a valley of death, and you do not want to walk or proceed into that valley of death. So he runs away, and he's going to try to secure yet another expansion. So Lucky trying to run wild here in the macro game. That's his plan here, to get back in by re-droning up. But Polt is all over that. Polt knows that Lucky is trying to get back into that macroing, and so he is going to make an attack right now with his tanks and Marines, and that is a pretty large army, and there are no Mutalisks in the skies quite yet. In fact, Lucky has gone entirely with the Zergling Infestor army. His 2 weapons is about to finish, though. That could be the difference maker, and he is actually running a huge army of Roaches and Zerglings over to the right as he sacrifices the hatchery. So what he's planning to do here is a huge pincer maneuver on the Terran army. Will he be able to do it, though, because he just got scouted on the right side, on the eastern side of the map. He did get scouted out with that army, so now Polt knows that there's an army on the right, and he can prepare accordingly for any type of pincer maneuvers. And I really do love the positioning where his tanks are all sieged up, very well protected, some on the high ground, some on the low ground, good variety. And meanwhile, back at home, I would imagine he's got some type of fortification. Yeah, he's got his supply depots raised up, so no potential counterattacks can occur here. Meanwhile, he is on the creep, beginning to shell away at the tumors and starting to attack the Zerg army, and Lucky really just trying to buy time, trying to get some type of breathing room here, because Polt is so close to knocking down the front door, and he knows that at any moment now he is going to start to take heavy artillery fire from those tanks, and he will not be able to do much about that at all. He's got to get his Brute Lords out, or Mutas, and it looks like he's trying to get Brute Lords. We can see on the production tab now how quickly he ramped up to Hive Tech, how quickly he tried to recover in this game and get into tier 3, but it might have been a little too late, although he does have a lot of Zerglings at the natural. Good golly, that's a lot of Zerglings. Now, is he going to run into the army? He is. He's actually doing a flank from the back as well. Everything coming in here, trying to pincer in on the Terran army, and he is going to get the pincer. Unbelievable by Lucky. Lucky kills off the entire Terran army in the middle of the map with a brilliantly executed pincer maneuver, and now he can get up to Brute Lord. So that's exactly what what Lucky needed to do. Get that breathing room, get up to Brute Lords, but still the problem therein lies with the fact that he is only on 3 bases, and if we look at his saturation, it is tied up with Polt, but he is only on 3 bases, and that is not going to be good, because at the late game, you've got to maintain at least 1 base over the Terran. Polt knows that. He's hungry for blood. In fact, he might just be hungry for minerals as well, so he's going to go ahead and try to expand over here, and we can see the aggressive expansion. Anytime you're ahead, that's what you kind of want to do, especially as Terran. You want to expand aggressively towards the Zerg so that you can make quick strikes over, quick coordinated guerrilla tactics and attacks against his hatchery. And we can see now Polt beginning to line up his tanks, going to try to shell him up, And he should be in range of the hatchery, and he can actually force the cancel right there, and that's exactly what he does. So Lucky in total control right now, under the control of Polt, that is, and trying to run around the backside underneath. And he might be able to catch up some of the SCVs that are going over to that Planetary Fortress. The Planetary Fortress is not quite morphed up yet, so that was Lucky's opportunity, but there were so many Marines and Marauders there as well. Really, Polt just has an army contingency at every point of the map. At any point where an attack may happen, or at any point where he wants to attack, he has an army there, and that's the problem that Lucky's running into now. And that mobility, the agility of the Zerg, the ability to move around the map very quickly is starting to lose its edge. That's the problem, because Polt's army is so much stronger, so much larger, and he's cornered in these Zerglings down at the 6 o'clock, and unfortunately for him, I don't think Lucky's going to have any escape path. That is a dead end, do not enter, and Polt sieging up the entirety of the 4th expansion, or what remains of it, really just drones scurrying away, and we might just come down to one big battle with Lucky and all of his queens. All of his queens have come off the line here, and whatever Broodlords he's got in the skies to try to fight off this Terran army, and the micro has got to be on point for Lucky if he's going to win this game, because the Terran is expanding at will right now. In fact, he's grabbed this one, he's grabbed this one, and he's grabbing another one, and it looks like we are going to have a huge doom draw from Polt. That is actually a little risky, I feel like, because now the Broodlords can come in from the backside and easily shell away those tanks. So perhaps Polt making a mistake here. He is going to get his forces bungled, but will he be able to get the Hive in time? The Hive is at sub 100 HP, and the Hive is going to go down in a massive spurt of blood. And that, actually, I don't know if it paid off for Polt, because he lost his entire army for the Hive, and he didn't kill off. I don't know if he killed off the Greater Spire. No, he didn't. He didn't get the Greater Spire, nor did he get the spawning pool. So killing the Hive off there was a little bit superficial, because of course the Zerg can get that Hive back up. So maybe that was Lucky's one opportunity back in this game. He really didn't lose that much. He did destroy a large chunk of the Terran army, but we can see that Polt is maxed out once again. Look, his reinforcements are ready and waiting. Good to go, sir. And they are ready to join the fray. Of course, they are split apart from the main Terran ball right now, so Lucky still has an opportunity to move out across the map. He's got to get some pretty good chain fungals here if he's going to win this game and drive it into the final match. Remember, this is Assembly Winter ASUS ROG. It is the semifinal B. Winner goes on to play Stefano for $10,000 or $6,000. Loser goes down and plays for either $3,000 or $1,000. And it looks like the Broodlord's beginning to shell away at this Planetary Fortress, but once again we have another Doomsday drop, and I don't know how that went under the nose of these Corruptors. Those 3 medevacs got in there basically unopposed, and so it looks like Polt is going to try to go for some type of a base race scenario here, which I don't think he really needs to. I'm a little surprised he is going for this base race scenario, because he's so far ahead in this game. Usually you base race when you're behind, but Polt is inside the main right now, and he is going to be able to pick off the new hatchery and the spawning pool. Meanwhile, Lucky beginning to shell away at this Planetary Fortress, but he still has not killed off the PF yet, and he just expended a huge glob of energy onto the PF by expending all these infested Terrans out there. Will he have enough DPS to take out the PF or not? If he doesn't, then that's basically wasted energies by the infested Terrans, and it looks like it is. And he has not much more of a Zerg army left. In fact, he brought most of his infestors back to save his main. He's going to try to bungle this Terran army down. He launches a couple of infested Terrans out. Will it be enough to destroy this army? It is going to be enough to kill off the tank, and I think that army is weakened enough now to the point where any reinforcements should be able to finish it off. And the Planetary Fortress is surprisingly still alive, but most of the SCVs and most of the Terran army has fallen back. We can see Polt falling back into a different position, and now the infestors rejoining the fray. That Planetary Fortress has 107 kills. It has 112 kills now. Now, granted, most of those are Broodlings, but good lord, that is a lot of kills. And now the Vikings beginning to spread out into attack formation, locking their S-foils, and there is nothing that the Emperor can do in this position. Lucky is going to go down, and the fungal growth's the last heaving sigh of desperation from the infestors. Even the transfuse coming down, but that is not going to be enough, and I believe that Polt is going to take this one and go on to play Stefano in the Grand Finals, and Lucky calls GG. Polt secures the victory and has secured himself at least $6,000 in the Grand Finals of Assembly Winter. Wow, what a tournament. It's not over yet though, guys, because you know what? There's a 3rd place consolation match coming up next, and of course Lucky will be there. But even more exciting it is going to be Polt and Stefano, another Terran versus Zerg Grand Finals to close this tournament out. It will be a best of 5, I believe. I hope you guys all enjoyed these broadcasts so far. If you did, make sure to check me out. I'm on YouTube at HD StarCraft, where you guys can find more StarCraft 2 videos, very cool videos. You guys can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at HD StarCraft. And that's pretty much going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow, or perhaps I'm going to take a day breather, a day break, and bring you guys the third place match in 2 days. I think I'll do that because I do need to do some stuff tomorrow. So I'll try to bring you guys everything by Sunday, hopefully. And keep your eyes peeled. The Grand Finals are just around the corner. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is HD, your pleasure, signing out. That didn't sound right, did it?